Hello Spider Peeps. Well, you can probably guess what we're going to be doing today. SpiderMaf has got his spider glasses on, so we're going to be doing some soldering, and specifically we'll be doing a kit that I bought from AliExpress. So here is the kit. You can tell I've paid a little bit more for it because it comes in a fantastic box, and what makes it even better is that it has only English instructions. So the last time I did a kit like this, you saw the mess I made because I didn't realise on the other side there were English instructions. So I immediately turned this over and it's all in English. I wonder what it's going to be. Well, that's giving the game away, isn't it? So right away we've got a special soldering chart on this again. By all means scan that while you've got the opportunity. But yeah, with the demise of Maplin in the UK, well, at least I don't know whether Maplin have gone bust, but it was Maplin where I bought all my electronics kits from, and I missed them intensely. Oh, look at that. For once, it's not got a USB socket on. It's got a barrel socket. I suppose that's because it's such an incredible musical instrument. Okay, so very nice PCB. I think this is a touch keyboard. It is very well, I suppose it's because of the curves. There's going to be no sanding of this. This has been processed at very high SpiderMaf quality. So yeah, I have no reservations about this board being a nice one because it's been finished nicely. What else have we got in this to play with? So quite a few things in here. I do love it when we get things in sockets. It looks like most of the resistors are the same value. That's going to help a lot. What else we've got? Loads of little switches, some capacitors. Looks like we've got some surface mount. Whoa, that'll be fun. 3 surface mount things there. And yet we've also got a through hole chip. I think the surface mount is for the touch chip. What's this? I can't. This is STC. This is probably some kind of programmable chip which has got the software put on it, I would imagine, to do this organ. But it's got sockets, which I like sockets, especially if you want to reprogram this. And we've got a speaker which is holding all of the hardware and the remaining set of capacitors components, and like a Mylar style plastic speaker. Oh, there's another one there. Okay, there's a bit of hardware on this, but I think most of the hardware is to do these strange sort of like leg things. I mean, is this a grand piano that SpiderMaf always wanted? I always wanted a grand piano and a grandfather clock, and of course neither of them will fit in the cave. I have to use my dozer that I did a few weeks ago to dig out some extra space in the cave, I think, if I am going to have a grandfather clock. But of course this is a grandfather clock and we are in the cave. So what's this bit for? I think that must be a support for the lid, maybe, which will then mean you can never put the lid away. I might not put the lid on it totally. I think we'll have a look at putting the surface mount components on first. Oh, 2 nice little wires as well, which you can tell it's been cared for because the wires are already stripped at the end. Looks like they might even have been soldered. So first of all, the first bit is looking at surface mount chip. The surface mount chip is there, and we've got like a little spot at the end of it. That's an easy one to put on. I don't know, shall we do this? Shall we do this with hot air? Well, not everyone's got hot air. Let's just do this. I'm just going to solder this just to prove that I can do it without a hot air gun, just with a standard soldering iron. Okay, so let's put some flux on this. A little bit too much flux on there, but we'll be okay. I think I might put some on this bit as well because it's all popping out. I think there was a power capacitor somewhere as well. Can't see that at the moment because I'm doing flux and soldering. Let's put some gloves on. Should have done that before I played with the flux really, shouldn't I? But right, let's pop him on there. And what I do with this one, before I do anything else really, you just get one of the corners in place. So let's pop a bit on that. All right, I think that's held it on. So let's do the same thing with the other side. Whoops, a little bit of a slip there. I think I might have to change this tip. I've wiped some of that off there. Let's try and pull those off. And that's come off beautifully. All right, missed that one. Let's do the same on the other side. So now let's have a look for U3. This is U3 and it has the little bit at the bottom. Can we see that? Yes, I can just about make out that in this bottom corner here there's a little spot. Quite hard to see, but that needs to go down the bottom as well. I think that's lined up okay. Maybe it's a little bit far over this side. That's got the one side done. Hold it in place, then I can be a bit more liberal with the solder on this side. Can do this side as well. Bit of a too big a blob on that bit. Clean the soldering iron off. Drag these back onto the I think that looks acceptable. What do you think, Spider Peeps? Quite pleased with that. Next thing it wants us to do is this regulator chip. That's on the other side, so bop a bit on there. Make sure that's done. We're not going to have any problem. So pop that down first. Let's go for the hardest bit first. Go. A bit too much on there, but let's be a bit more genteel with these. I've got the wrong thickness of solder on this really, but so let's take some of this off again. Take a bit of that off. So the next bit is all the resistors, 18 pieces. So let's get those put in. They should be relatively easy. I'll use this device. Don't always use this, but when there's so many of them that are all the same, you can begin to batch them a little bit easier. It's nice if they've all got a nice consistent fold on them. And I could actually snip them off. What I've done before, while they're still on the ribbon, I've just snipped them off so they're not as long. But sometimes having them on there long is also useful for getting them into the holes properly. I think the problem on this is going to be finding all of the 18 places for them to go. Yeah, I like kits like this where there's maybe not as less opportunity for mistakes, especially as there's some on the other side of the board as well. Just get some of the muck off it. I'll end up putting it back on again, but this is a nice board. Well thought out, I think. Okay, so all the resistors, right, so there's one over each of these. Let's pop these on first. It looks like there's going to be a resistor and a capacitor. So let's just pop all of those in. And we'll put something on the other side of the board to stop us going into the wrong places. Oh, that one got a bit bent. This isn't the best with the gloves now. Tell me, Spider Peeps, if you're doing soldering and using flux that's not just in the solder or the solder yourself, do you wear gloves? Do you wear better gloves than these? Because these are a bit baggy for me. The trouble is, if you get a smaller one, then you get air caught in it, and it's just as bad like being in a space suit. Do you wear a thicker glove, or how do you do it? if you're soldering stuff. Let me know in the comments if you're the sort of person that enjoys to make comments. I think I'm going to pop this underneath it. Look, if I do that, that's going to keep them all relatively in place. But the amount of time I use these clippers and this are exactly what they've been designed for. Whoa, but I use them for everything else. So there's a bank of them around there as well. Oh, and there. Let's do this. Let's do this area. Ouch, this area first. That resistor leg I cut off there that had a bit too much solder on shot up from the board. I put my finger on top of it to stop it flying off, and the others flew off into my face. But the one that shot up from my board went straight into my finger, which is what that random ouch was a couple of seconds ago. Whoa, didn't film that though because it suddenly hurt. I think I can get away with putting that R18 in at the same time. You know, should we go for all of it? Let's just finish all of these off. It is nice. If I was a real perfectionist, I'd make sure that all of these were facing the right way. And they're all facing the right way. They are. How on earth did that happen? Oh, those two are the wrong way round. Okay, same drill as before. I'll see why I shouldn't have put this last one in first, because it's in the way of all the others. Whoops, I love it when you get into the routine of soldering and just every single... Whoa. And then you start talking about it and it falls off the board and everything goes terribly wrong. Right, because I had that accident, I'm just going to check. Oh man, look at that one. Didn't even do that one. See if I can get away with that. Yeah, I need to put a bit more solder on that one. Just check that they're all sitting neatly on the board. That one could do with a bit. That's that one at the edge, isn't it? That's the one I should have left to the end. All the others are okay. I've done it again, haven't I? I forgot to use my lovely little board that holds all of these when I'm soldering them. Did exactly the same thing last time. Okay, that looks relatively neat. This does actually feel like you're doing electronics. It's pretty good. I wonder what's next. It's the IC socket, and it has gap mark, which I think is that little notch cut out there. For this one, just the two end ones. You can't see me doing it with my nail. Let's use this instead. I'm just going to slightly bend out the two end ones. I don't ever do it with all of them in case you need to unsolder it. But if you do that, it holds it in nicely. This is my soldering pen, which I've used previously. I'm going to try and just wet it up a little bit with that, just to give it an extra little bit of help. Then we should be able to go through these quite quickly. Because I used to do all this soldering directly on my cutting mat until I realised where all of the holes in my cutting mat were coming from. It's funny, I don't think I've put it on the channel yet, but I used the cutting mat actually as a cutting mat the other day, which is funny. It's sort of become like the little brand of my channel. I mean, there's other people who use purpley cutting mats. Martina from Nerdforge, she does it notably, which is probably where I got the idea from. But I think actually I got the idea of it because I just like the purple etch resist on circuit boards, and so just everything became purple when I found this. The other side of these mats is pink, which you never see, which is a pity they weren't both purple, because then when I break them and blow holes in them, I could just turn them the other way around. It's assuming it doesn't go all the way through. Okay, capacitors. Oh no, the capacitors are all different. Oh, no. Okay, 1 UF. That's it. Did it so quick I think I'd missed it. That's definitely the way to do it. Which is funny because this is why I bought it and then I always forget. Right, let's clip these off. I wonder what we're going to do next. Those little through-hole switches then. Oh, and the capacitor. So let's pop that in there. Hopefully that's right. Yeah, minus is pointing down. Little switches in. And it's interesting now, you can see it in that little grid. It's quite interesting. Look, well, I don't know what H is, high, medium, low. That might be sound. Play, delete and record. So we can record things, although it's going to be difficult when we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 keys. But we've also got piano, guitar and a violin. Oh, is this going to be awful? I bet it is. I don't know, they might be able to put some samples on the chip, but I bet it's going to just be messing about with different square waves and sine waves and whatever, but we'll see. All right, I think that's it now. So let's flip this around and get these soldered, and I hope these will hold themselves in. Leave these on for a little bit longer because there's more metal in them. However, I don't want to leave them for too long because there's metal and there's plastic and I don't want to melt them. Should have my solder fan on this. It's suddenly generating loads of smoke that it wasn't doing before. Must be burning more flux suddenly. So we've got 2 bits of wire, red one side and black on the other side. So LS1 is that way. So we've got red there. I should just get away with melting the pad underneath. Then as long as this is tinned, which I think it is, it should just stay on there. Yeah. The same with the other one. I wonder if this is going to be on this side of the board. Probably the mechanism for the speaker is going to be this side of the board. And then I'll just slip that just as it was solidifying. Let's just do that again. That's how you get dry joints, if you move it accidentally just as it's beginning to set. Okay, so let's put that on. It'll be underside as well. Right, so that should go on now. And they should tighten up and hold it on. Oh. Got the 5-volt connector to go in there as well. So does that go on the bottom of the board? Yes, that goes on the underside of the board, which means I'm going to have to flip it again. So I'm going to put a blob of solder on there. And then this is where you burn your fingers. Let's push that in. That's better. Now we've got one on there, and I can just finish the other two now. Oops. So I think we're done. Let's pop this away. Okay, I don't know if it mentioned this, but we've got to put the chip in, observing static precautions. Not. So I tend to like to bend the chip a little bit like this for these boards. So just bend it in a teeny bit. Make sure that I've got the cutouts to align with the cutout here. And if I've got, still need to apply a little bit of pressure just to make sure that they all go into the socket first. Because there used to be a thing with these, I've never had it happen to me, but where sometimes the leg will bend underneath the chip. But I think we're good. You tend to be able to feel as it goes in. That went in quite lovely. I'm not going to put the lid on, but I am going to put these on, even though I've just put the screwdriver away. My first grand piano. Would you say it's a baby grand? It's definitely not worth a grand. It's more like a nano grand. Oh, of course, that had to be the wrong side, didn't it? Ugh. All right, so bang goes the aesthetics. So are you working? Right, hang on. Right, we've got instructions. Steps. Enter the working state. Yes. Touch buttons can play notes and music as you can. Do I have to press play first? No. Touching buttons can play notes and music as you can. You know, I said this was a good kit. Okay, so I could have gone through every single little joint on this and resoldered them all. But you know, I thought if there'd been anything wrongly soldered on any of these other subjoints, some of the board would have worked, but nothing was working. So first of all, I checked the power switch, just checked that when I had the barrel plug plugged into it, I was actually getting some power. And then I went to this chip here, which is the processor chip, checked that this was receiving power as well, and it was. So I thought there must be something else I've missed on one of these two chips. So I did what I said I was going to do all along. And I didn't resolder them. I just heated them up with the hot air until they moved, and then just left them alone again. That's mostly okay, isn't it? There's still a bit of a scum all over this. I need to give this a jolly good cleaning. But there's more important things to do. So what do you reckon? So I reseated that and reseated that, even though they were soldered on. So still no activity. This could really do with telltale light when you turned it on, just a little LED somewhere. Aha! It needs the extra one. Okay, so it works. Yay! I mean, it doesn't sound the best, does it? So what was that? Let's push this one, which I think's a violin. That sounds like a square wave. The next one was a guitar. It does sound a bit like a guitar. Hang on. Yeah, nearly. What about piano? Oh, it's got some decay on it. Yeah, as if it's going to be polyphonic. Okay, so that was worth it, wasn't it? Hi. So it's got a range of 3 octaves. We can record stuff on it as well. What should I play? And let's just do. Play. Oh well, as Steve Fix would say, stupid piano. Bye.